Alright, we're going to try to do a little CZ75 SPO1 line gunsmithing. Apologize in advance if this video turns out a little ghetto, but do the best that I can. So this is the same gun I used before, the CZ75 SPO1 Shadow. It's past its 25,000 kind of mile, I guess, round count scheduled maintenance. So I just wanted to show you how to do some of the things they recommend doing. So you want to go ahead, safety check it. This one's already been safety checked. There's nothing in there, but I'm going to just go over some springs, extractor issues things that kind of regularly need to be replaced. So first thing you want to do is go ahead. What I did is I already removed the grips. You just unscrew the two screws here. Sorry for not showing that to you. You've got your, I'm trying to point it this way, you've got your mainspring here. Your mainspring, they recommend you replace it every 5,000 rounds. You can go ahead and replace it more frequently or less frequently. This one's been in there for 15,000 rounds. I haven't had any light strikes or anything like that. You could also replace this to a lower poundage if you're looking for a lighter double action pull. In other words, you're starting a competition from this position, and you want to lighten up this pull right here as much as you can. You can actually see the mainspring being compressed right there. You want to lighten that up. You can go ahead and put in a lighter mainspring. You have to be careful if you go too light. This may not have enough oomph to strike. So 13 pounds is the recommended reduced power spring. Factory, I believe it's 15 or even 16. And then that's one thing that you can replace. I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll show you how to field strip the slide entirely. So let's start with breaking the gun down. Line up the notches, knock out the little pin here, the slide stop. Separate the slide from the frame. We're going to go ahead and just focus on the frame. So what you want to do is, you notice there's a piece of sheet metal here. You want to go ahead and remove that. That's designed to prevent, grab a magazine, these are snap caps, from the magazine catching or sticking on the mainspring. So the sheet metal is actually there just to serve as a barrier. It doesn't really have any other functional use right there. So you want to remove that. Do wear safety glasses because parts will fly everywhere here, especially under tension. So there will be some trial and error here, but you can just go ahead and push that out. I have a little pin. This comes out, the lower part's stuck a little bit, but there's the sheet metal. You want to remove that first because it will prevent, if when it's in there, the mainspring won't come out as easily. To remove the mainspring, it's a little bit more safe in the sense that when you go ahead and hit it with the punch, it'll replace the spot of the pin there, so things aren't just going to fly out. I'll show you what I mean by that. This is the trial and error part. Should I move it more so you guys can see it? So this one was from the top part. So this will be the lower part. Let's go ahead and get that out. Okay. So when you remove it, as you can see, this takes place, but when you take this out, you got to be careful. So this is the mainspring kind of cap there. And that's the actual mainspring. So I recommend a 13 pound. That's what's been recommended to me. It works, 13 pound mainspring. And this is all what we're going to do with the frame. To replace a new one, just go ahead, order it. I got mine from CZ Custom. Put it in there. That's how you lighten up the double action pull. Okay, let's take a look at the slide here. So some scheduled maintenance. Obviously you have your recoil spring. I use an 11-pound recoil spring. I can already tell this one's getting a little bit weak. I've had that for about 15,000 rounds. I want to replace that. I notice it because the slide's hitting very hard back, so I want to replace that. Next guy you want to watch for is the extractor. This guy right here. Not only should this be clean, this gap right here, it should have plenty of stopping power to get it out. So to remove the extractor, actually to remove the extractor, there's a little bit of hole right here. This is a 3mm punch, I believe. I'm sorry, this is a 1.5mm punch, or 1/16. These are European guns, that's why I'm going in metrics. So this is 1/16. Just go ahead, line it up in there, and same thing, it's not going to fly out because this is going to take its place. Just punch that out. As you can see, carrier came in there. When you do remove it, if you put your finger there, you've got your extractor, and then you have your extractor spring right there. This, I'm gonna confess, I cleaned earlier. This guy there's a lot of dirt in there, and when you clean it, You don't necessarily want to lubricate it and keep it moist because then it's going to attract more dirt. You just want it to be clean and dry, not much more to it. So that's the extractor. That's the extractor spring. They roughly recommend every 5 to 10,000 rounds. I haven't done anything for 25,000, as you can see, and I cleaned. It's going to take a few cleanings. Still not too good. So why don't we go ahead, finish up the slide, remove the firing pin. This one you got to be careful with. This one will fly out and kill you, at least your eyesight. So just go ahead, push in the firing pin and push in and move the cover down. When you do, it will come out. You got your firing pin and then your firing pin spring, and that's it. There's nothing else in the slide except for the sights. So what you have here, this is just a completely milled slide. You have your firing pin spring. They also recommend replacing this spring right here. I want to say every 10,000 rounds. I got 25,000, nothing, no issues. So I'm not replacing it. You get your firing pin, I guess, holder, whatever, sorry for lack of terms. You got your extractor spring. I was told this is supposed to schedule to break every kind of 20,000 rounds. Not that it breaks, the spring gets weak, or this part, the actual extractor hook there, gets dull and doesn't work. I've had no issues. I'm just going to clean it, put it back in. Then you have your mainspring kind of housing there. You've got your slide stop. They recommend watching this. This is where the metal hits the metal, so this is prone to injury. Recoil spring, definitely want to replace that. Like I said, it's not actually going to crack. It just kind of gets weak. So you want to watch out for that. Piece of sheet metal here. That's pretty much it. As for the actual mechanism itself, the trigger, some of the return springs in there, that'll have to be saved for another video. But kind of very basic schedule maintenance for a CZ75 SP01 line. This one's a shadow, so it's a little bit different in the sense that there's no firing pin safety. But other than that, this is the schedule maintenance. Like I said, when you do clean this, make sure this is dry. Don't lubricate it. Look at all that, yeah, there's a lot of dirt coming out. Don't lubricate it, just make sure it's dry. Same thing for the firing pin area. Just use a Q-tip in and out. You can use solvent to clean it, obviously, but then just make sure it's dry, leave it out a little bit. Like I said, if you get it moist or oily, it'll run well a little bit, then you'll notice serious malfunctions. That's true of any gun. It'll just build up and it'll get stuck. So that should do it. Have another video sometime soon.